Hello, my name is DC. I'll be giving a match analysis for Real Madrid versus Dortmund in the FIFA Club World Cup. Alright, so we start here. Alright, so boom, was something tried to happen, block was made, and then what Real Madrid do is that they recycle the ball. Alright, so I think this is Vinicius, and at this point, Dortmund seem to be somewhat okay, except for the very creative player they've left free. And if you look at this is actually a lot of attacking intent from Real Madrid because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 players in and around the box. I know that there's a good majority outside, but they have shown real attacking intent because at this point, if Dortmund were to get the ball, they would have so much open space to run it. Alright, so 18 players in and around the, don't really want to say 18 yard. Let's try to make it maybe 23 or 25 yard box. So they're also outnumbering. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in a way, it's an equal thing, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so the ball is recycled, right? And then Vinny Jr. makes a push. He makes a run to create some space. He'll create more operating room. Now the problem is this guy over here, Adagula, who is a very good attacking midfielder, and the fact that they've left him with this much space. I understand that Dortmund do want to go. They're preparing for the counter. Because look at this: 2, 4, 6. Okay, there are a lot of people in the box. They are a lot. And then the thing is that him here isn't really doing much. I think if he pushes up slightly forward, he does make a difference. Because at this point, the Dortmund players have this particular area covered. It's a 3 versus 4. And then there's a free man here who is also keeping an eye on Trent. So him pushing forward could actually help this. But he just drops way too deep. And at this point, he's not really marking anyone. He could just go in you could take a few steps forward. And matter of fact, even he could push on just slightly ahead because at this point there's no Real Madrid player at the center. And if you look at it, he somewhat has him covered because Trent is a little bit, deeper. So these two here he could move there, a bit forward there, and then he could just move there. Because they're not really doing anything at this point. They're free men that can, at least push forward to at least to cut out this, because one thing you don't want, yes, when you're playing deep, is you want to protect the center, but again you don't want to constantly be dealing with crosses in the box, especially when there's a limited amount of people. Like a regular amount of people here. Maybe if there were like 6 or 7, you can understand them leaving the ball to let the cross come in because they can deal with it. But otherwise, Argola, he's given way too much space. These two could have definitely moved a bit more forward to help prevent that. So Vinny Jr. plays it into him, and now look at how much time he has. Traps it, looks down, looks up, looks down, and crosses the ball. And now, as we've said, it's a 4v3. But unfortunately, it's a weird type of defending whereby one player is being occupied by 2 Dortmund players. He is just distracting them, because at this point, he really is the free man. And by the free man, it's one of those. This is the problem sometimes when you have too many defenders, because there's always this thing whereby it's either you have to be man to man or you have to help your teammate out. Because this is one of those you can let each person, you can allow there to be man on man marking, and then just have someone either in between here or here, just in case of cases. But there should be man to man marking because Gonzalo has too much space here. There's no one marking him. He could go forward. He could go for his teammate to take a few steps back, because at this point he can also get closer to him and he's running away from goal. So it's one of those. It's mainly just miscommunication and not setting up properly that leads to this goal. And it's a very good cross from Adagula, let me not lie. And also the keeper, I'm sure he could have intervened just to give them a heads up. And look at that, he even fakes it. He has that much time, and the 2 players haven't really moved. The 2 players that were in a position, as I've noted earlier. Anyway, cross comes in, and then he's given all the time and space in the world. He's made that run, taken away one defender, and then he could have easily shouted for his teammate to go back, or he could have taken control of the situation himself. Unfortunately, he doesn't do that, and it leads to the goal. Because an other goaler, that little fake is what creates this goal. Because you see, he drags him away. He's in no man's land. He is in no man's land because he could shout for his teammate to take a few steps back. He really could, but he doesn't. And then he could also take control of the situation because Bellingham here is clear. He clearly has someone on him. He doesn't, and then it leads to that. Yeah, very funny defending from Dortmund, really is. Let's head on to the second goal. Whew. All right, so Real Madrid have the ball, and here we have two players on the wing. And once again, I think this is Adegola. And this is one thing about Adegola. He's not confined to one particular area of the pitch. He can move around and create chances elsewhere. And then also I want you to take note of, this is the person that scores the goal. Just keep note of where he is and keep note of the player that's, you know, the player that's supposed to be marking him. All right, let's let this play through. Come on, load. Alright, ball goes to Gonzalo. And as you've seen here, Dortmund defense, these two are too close to each other. He could afford to take a few steps. It's one of those, he's been pushed out wide. And this was what teams do sometimes. They'll make sure that people high and wide so that the more a defender moves towards to mark them, they create more space in between. There's space created between the player that's moving for the ball and the player next to him. So that's what happens here. So in this case, if he goes forward, he goes forward, and he goes forward. Yes, there'll be space for him, but for the ball to travel from here, it won't happen instantly. So there'll be time for people to follow the route of the ball and also be in position to, deal with anyone that will be here. So they don't really follow. They allow him to go alone. He doesn't want to cover this space in which, as I've outlined what will and should have happened. He identifies this space and makes the run inside the box. Because this is a very big gap. It's very big. And I think he's telling someone, no, he's not. Alright, so Bellingham here receives the ball. And as they move forward, the space simply moves. There was a gap here. There still is a gap there. The gap is now here. It's just moving. The space is just moving and moving. Bellingham has the ball. And once again, they've made sure to keep these two high and wide. The whole point is to stretch the defense. And let's just play it through because I want. So Adegola here, simple football. They're just forcing it to one side. And at this point here, let's see how Dortmund decide to deal with it because they are moving closer and closer to their goal. Once again, another runner. And also, he was given way too much space to make the pass. Because look at this, another gap, and then it's funny what's happening. Because like another gap, and I feel he makes that pass way too easy because he's supposed to be under pressure considering how close he is to their box. But he's able to make that pass, a good one I might add. Leo, lovely ball. He looks behind him and then he makes that cross. And then remember when we made those two circles earlier, when we identified the person that scores the goal and the person that's supposed to be defending him. And here's the thing, as a defender, you don't have the luxury of focusing on either the ball or the man. If you focus on the ball, you forget the man. You focus on the man, sometimes the man is just there to distract you so you don't get the overall image. And then this is one of those, I don't know, he just should be more aware. He really should. Because I'm pretty sure he noticed him because it's just how he runs past him. And if this goal is definitely preventable because yes, they are exploiting gaps, but this here is, he was so far away and then he comes close. Maybe his focus is mainly on the ball. He's not really looking. This is why it's important to scan. And then Fran Garcia makes the run and scores the goal because the other player his mind was elsewhere. Just look at that. And that's a really good run. I know it's because the defender is not looking, but he made a good run, scored a good goal. Fran Garcia sets one goal up. Wait, is it not a goal up? Or is it? Anywho, but all we know is that both Garcias scored in this game. And then look, this is where the second goal was scored. And then now let's take a look at when the next goal was scored. If we know Real Madrid likes scoring late goals, but come on, to let them, the next goal to come in this particular minute is something else. Not even one goal. 3 goals were scored past the 90th minute mark. In fact, 91st minute. Three goals were scored. It's strange. All right, so Dortmund have the ball, right? He plays it into his teammate here, and then at this point, let's count the numbers in and around the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're not really going to count him. Let's count the Real Madrid players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so everything is evenly matched except two people are marking one person. Guirassy is very good, but I do feel Rudiger, he can deal with this alone. Huijsen can probably step up a bit, just create that little line of defense. Because Rudiger is strong and physical, same thing with Guirassy. We've seen Rudiger manhandle Haaland. I don't think Guirassy would be much of a problem. Alright, so Dortmund have the ball. They're moving it around in a bit. He takes it, and then he plays a simple pass. And at this point, this is why I said Huijsen could afford to step up. Because he creates this extra, how can I say, he creates that extra security. Because if he's here, he probably sees this earlier. Or tries to deal with it earlier. And this, all Guirassy is doing is trying to keep himself. I don't know, he's trying to stretch them back a bit because as you've seen, he's not really bothered on running forward to receive the pass. No, his focus there is probably to try and stretch that, not stretch, but push that line a bit deeper, so as avoid his teammates getting offside, and also to occupy this, to keep Rudiger occupied. But that's why I said Huijsen could probably step up because Rudiger can deal with Guirassy. He can. I do believe so. Ish, network, am I right? Oh, he doesn't play it into him. He plays it into the other guy. My bad. Yeah, a little faint, and then it's. I understand that that yes, he has enough space to receive the ball, but not to turn. But ish, sometimes it's risky leaving a man open like this, especially in the final moments of the game. He plays it wide again. And then he also does well because he's also taking away the attention. He's taking the attention of Huijsen just by doing that. Moving around and doing that. And it's funny because a little clip ball is played. And then unfortunately it's a very bad clearance from Rudiger. Mishits it. And then it falls to the Dortmund player and he just hits it first time. And then now before the shot is taken, I'm just going to leave that there. Three players near each other. When I even mentioned, Huijsen could step a bit forward. And it's not that okay, Rudiger, we understand why he's there, but he's close to him, and probably maybe that I'm not really saying that he's a cause of Rudiger, misclearing the ball, but he could have just given him more space. Same thing with Huijsen, they're too close to each other. Probably some should have stepped forward, some should have probably given him the space, but here Dortmund player has so much space to hit this ball on the volley, I might add. And goal. And it's funny how Huijsen turns away and sticks his leg out rather than probably trying to put his body in front of that shot. It's a good goal though, we must admit. It is a good goal. Let's head on to the next goal of the match, which is scored by Mbappe. Alright, so Dortmund here actually have enough men to deal with this. I don't even have to count just to show that there are enough Dortmund players to deal with this. Alright, so this is very strong hold-up play because the Dortmund player is giving a lot of pressure, but he manages to hold it up and plays it back. And now the problem is that, let me just let this, just to show you how serious this is. Alright, so, network. Alright, so you have all these players committed in just following, not even trying to get the ball, but just being in that particular area. Yeah. And then look at that. There's no one to stop him from crossing the ball, which is already a bad thing. And he has all the time in the world to cross this. And they have enough men in the box to deal with this. But the defender here this is where you lose Mbappe. This is where you lose him. This is why other defenders have that habit of putting their arm around the player they're marking so as to keep track of where they are. I don't know what he's trying to do, but Mbappe just gets the better of him. He really does. He does enough to create that separation. Yeah, he creates that. I don't know. He just lets Mbappe go, and as he was trying to hold Mbappe, his feet were stagnant. If he was moving his feet, he would have probably been in a better position to follow Mbappe's movements. But Mbappe manages to slip past the defender. The defender should have really done better here. And his ball watching. Now, here's the thing: if you're ball watching as a defender, that's dangerous. If you're ball watching as an attacker, it's good. It's one of those. The striker can afford to just look at the ball. You as a defender have to keep track of the player and the ball, which it can be very difficult defending. But this is great. This is a great strike from Mbappe, but he lets him go way too quickly. Too many players committed. 4 players on one side, but they let the ball. They're following. They're following. I think this is Rodrigo who had the ball. Forget that there was someone free. Cross the ball, and this is a really good. It's a really good goal. Let's not take anything away from that. Clever, clever, clever finish. Really, really clever. Mbappe. And at this point, I thought he was going to do his trademark celebration, but instead he paid a tribute to Jota, which I cannot lie, at first I did not understand. Don't mind me pausing. Copyright is trying to be avoided. Who said that? Yeah, I'm trying to avoid copyright. I thought I was going to do a signature celebration, but instead, tribute to Jota. At first, I didn't understand what this meant, but this is Diogo Jota's squad number. I'm just surprised I didn't pick up on that earlier. Very surprised, actually. Let's head on to the next goal. And then it's funny because this starts from kickoff. And then pay attention to where these Real Madrid players are when this starts. And then pay attention when I'll pause in the next frame. So Girassi starts taking a few steps back. They're not really paying attention. The attention is more towards the person that has the ball. Okay? And this is why it's so dangerous. Not really dangerous. You're at your most vulnerable when you score a goal. You really are. Because at that point, you're celebrating. You don't think that you get scored on immediately. That's the problem that's there. Because he's already gone past 4 players. And at this point, the only 3 Dortmund players really like in the center running. And Guirassy here, look at the run that he makes. He runs on the blind side of Rudiger because Rudiger is looking at the person that has the ball. And so Guirassy is able to make that run in behind him. And then Huijsen here, what he does do is rush. But I feel this is just a really weird goal to concede because it happens so quick off the restart. And I feel it's just way too easy that it happens like this. Really is. Guirassy has a free run to go at this point. He runs on the backside of Rudiger. And remember those 5 players? 3 of them are still near the halfway line. I'm not saying they should track back, but just just keeping track of their movements. And then look at the Dortmund players: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They committed 8 players, and I don't think this goal is supposed to happen. Really, it really shouldn't. Huijsen here makes a very rash decision. He pulls down Guirassy, and it's a clear red card. No intention to play the ball. Clear denial of a goal scoring opportunity. What more can you ask for? Yeah, very easy call for the referee. So now this is where the goal is scored, somewhere here. Guirassy steps up to take it. Let's just push it back a bit, because sometimes I do like to note the penalty techniques and also the way the keeper dives. So look at the way Guirassy runs up, straight forward, puts it into the net. No skippy step, no jump, straight power into the goal. Alright, but it's just funny how Real Madrid concede from the restart, just like that. Anywho, let's head on to the last goal of the game. Or not really last, not the last goal, but the last chance of the game. Dortmund here, once again, another clip ball. And at this point, they man down in Huijsen. So you can understand there being more gaps than usual, but at this point, just defend. You can get in a midfielder to do that job for the meanwhile, just for the sake of clearing the game out. And as you've seen here, they've created a bit of an overload, Dortmund, because 1, 2, 3, 4 Dortmund players, and good on the person that crosses the ball for seeing all this and deciding that this is the best area to cross it. I know it's obvious, but still, there's some players that will not cross the ball. And then now here, it skips past. He was in between the 2 defenders. Another thing that happens. I understand they are short, but you should just add in more men, because at this point, this is the 98th minute. 98th minute. You can afford to have everyone in the box, no one attacking, just defend. And this is why you need a really good goalkeeper, because Courtois saves them here. He really does. That's a good save. You can't see it from here, but you see it from the other angle that I will use. This is why it's so important to have a goalkeeper like Courtois or like Allison. It's because they can save you in this type of moment. So you have seen here, he has a man. He's with the man, but he lets him get past him. And then yeah, the fourth Dortmund player shows up, but at this point he's in between the two. And yes, they're a man down, but you can afford to just have even just a back six, just for the sake of let us control, not really control, but defend our lead. I don't see the point of having it. Okay, I can see the point, but just have someone there, just for the sake of defending your lead. Whether it's a 6-3 formation, whatever you do, just make sure you defend. And his touch, I don't know, he actually lets it skip, and this is really quick from the player. On his chest, immediately it's about to hit the ground, the ball, he hits it, and yeah, Dortmund create a bit of an overload, but yeah, there is a red card. But yeah, you know what? He just does the smart thing in between the two defenders. He has a man. He has a man. He also has a man, but can't really, But I'd rather him be on the middle and then just leave the person, just leave him outside, because I would rather deal with the people. I would rather deal with anything that's in. I would rather deal with things that are in this specific area rather than this area, because the angle is not really favoring the person. It's a good strike, but then again, it's also a very good save. That's Courtois for you. That is Thibaut Courtois for you. Otherwise, interesting game, but once again, Dortmund failed to beat Real Madrid once again. And if there's one thing you never do with Real Madrid, it's not a team you leave you leave it to the last moments of the game to make a difference, because that's what Real Madrid do. That's when they're in their element. So if you want to beat Real Madrid, just make sure you do it quick. Don't rely on last minute goals. You will cry. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next match analysis.